Yeah, Fitbit, this was exercise. Standing up and talking was exercise. Nah, this thing's got some low standards for me. You ever just expect to hate something? I'll be the first to admit fan bases do ruin things for me, and Fate really is one of those things. Fate's Day Night is about Shiro Emiya, the son of a magus that really only knows one trick. After a massive fire wiped out his family, he lives solely to help other people and gets taken advantage of for it, pretty often. And he never really cares. Another student at his school, Rin Tosaka, is a magus herself and, actually knows about things. The first time we really focus on her, she had just summoned Archer, her servant for the Holy Grail War, who she was pretty disappointed in. And she isn't the only master at the school. There are two more. After being tricked by his friend, Shinji, Shiro ends up leaning up after the archery club and walks out into a fight between two servants, Archer and Lancer. There aren't supposed to be witnesses, so he's killed. Short story, right? But Rin pities him and brings him back, and of course, Lancer noticed and followed him home. Enters Saber, Shiro's servant. He's instantly stunned by her beauty, but man, are they both in for a disappointment. Visual novel shit. See, Shiro doesn't want anything to do with the Holy Grail War. He doesn't like death or fighting, and Saber became a servant to reach the Holy Grail. That's what this is. When there's intel on a fight, she's in. Even when Shiro, and in this case, even Rin, said it was a bad idea. So she ran into a fight, alone, on potentially bad intel from Shinji and his servant Ryder. Shinji's a master now. He's one of the four at the school, and not even slightly trusted. He tried to split up Shiro and Rin and turn them against each other to side with him instead. The fact that Shiro felt the need to double-check what Shinji said with Ryder should have told him immediately not to trust it. And he was right not to, and to tell Saber to back down. But instead, she went by herself when she thought Shiro wouldn't notice, and while she was fighting Assassin at the gate of Ryoto Temple, Ryder snuck in to fight someone else. There were two servants at that temple working together. We'll get back to that though. By this point, they had already been attacked by Ilya and her servant Berserker, Hercules. We'll just use this one's real name, yeah. Disney's got nothing on this guy. He's got 12 lives and maybe 2 lines of dialogue that aren't grunts and screams. Real tough guy. Anyway, after Saber got into that fight and the real disconnect between her and Shiro comes to a head, and it was obvious the entire time, but he really does not want to see her hurt. He doesn't want her to fight and wants to be able to protect her, but as Archer points out later, he's never going to be able to do that. Well, you know what? Fine. She didn't understand his reasoning at all, and that's certainly because she has, no emotional connection to anything at this point. Anyway, the argument ended with Saber training Shiro so he can at least defend himself a little, and Rin trying to teach him magic. They take a break, and Shiro asks what Saber's wish for Holy Grail is, and she doesn't really give that much information here. He goes to the store to get ingredients for lunch and finds Ilya. They talk and play, swapping backstories for what seems like hours since it's dark when Shiro gets home. Along with telling Shiro he's not going to take down a servant, he also tells him that in that situation, he should imagine something that can take one down. I get the feeling he didn't know what that meant yet, but he will soon enough. Rin's magic training wasn't all that productive, to be honest. She tried to have him reinforce some lamps, which he proceeded to break. For practicing this, for as long as he has been, he's really quite bad at it. He leaves early to go fight Shinji, who is now just being a complete asshole, like he wasn't already. Shiro ended up using one of his command seals to summon Saber. He only gets 3 of those, by the way, since he ran off by himself like an idiot. But unexpectedly, to me anyway, this fight went well. Saber's stronger than Ryder, and Shiro's training made Shinji a non-issue, pretty much. Until Ryder used her noble phantasm. That fight continued on a rooftop where Saber kills Ryder, and Ilya, who didn't show herself, kills Shinji, something that Shiro was never going to do, and definitely didn't approve of. Saber's noble phantasm uses too much mana though, and with the absolute state of Shiro, not much is being generated. He runs into Ilya in the park again, and this time he's kidnapped. He wakes up in her home in the forest while Saber, Rin, and a very reluctant Archer, wow, that's not subtle, come to try and get him out, but they have to get past Hercules to escape. Saber isn't in good enough shape for that, so Archer holds them off while they escape. And what is my favorite fight in this series by far, there is no question in my mind why Unlimited Blade Works is the name of an entire route. But even still, it isn't good enough. Archer dies here. And he told Shiro again,
"You aren't a person who fights, you're a person who creates. Clear everything else from your mind. There is only one thing you are capable of, so it's imperative that you master it."
And this time, he gets it a little more. So I already mentioned there being routes, but if you didn't know, Fate Stay Night's a visual novel. An arrow game. With H scenes. And they replaced one here with Shiro encountering a giant fuck-off CGI dragon. Are you insulting Saber or yourself right now? With her mana refilled, they go out to fight Hercules, and it doesn't go well once they discover he has had those 12 lives. He's down to 8 after his fight with Archer. Anyway, Rin gets 1 with her gems, and then Shiro summons Excalibur, because Saber is King fucking Arthur, and they take all 7 lives with 1 blow. So in dreams, masters can see memories of their servants. That's how Shiro knew to summon Excalibur, and I think that's actually Caliburn. And look, these things look really similar. After this, Ilya joins the harem. I'm not going to pretend that this is anything else, and also, worth pointing out, Saber is the only servant they have left. At this point, out of 7 servants, Rider, Archer, and Berserker are dead. We've seen Lancer, Assassin, and someone else. Remember Ryoto Temple? We also know there's another master at the school. Ilya has some intel here, and they find Castor and her master, Soichiro Kuzuki, one of the teachers of the school. No Magus. Castor killed her original master, and Kuzuki just doesn't seem to care about anything. Also, he was like obviously evil. Like look at this man. Even in the beginning. So they go to Ryoto Temple, and Assassin only cares about fighting Saber. He doesn't care about the war, so he just lets Shiro and Rin pass. We find out Sakura, who I realize I haven't mentioned once yet, she cooked for Shiro like pretty much every day until Rin and Saber started living with him, and even a couple times after, I think. Not that she needed to. Shiro is perfectly capable of cooking himself. I mean, there's literally an entire anime of it. But this series really glossed over the connection between her and Rin. I don't know anything about it, because that's all information from a friend, but I don't even think that flashback even had voice lines. There was no information at all. Castor and Kuzuki are ultimately taken out by Gilgamesh, someone who has some history with the last Grail War and with Saber. And I'm just going to drop off right there. There's some more romance stuff with Saber, showing how her personality has changed, even though, frankly, that dragon fight was the obvious moment that she changed, and there was no point pretending there was any sort of subtle shift. There wasn't.
That it means in the course of the fight, we could have our bodies colliding with each other.
Yes, so what? That's sparring. Comes with the territory.
I'm not like Rin. Her body is far more attractive than mine.
What are you talking about?
I don't want you to see my body, Shiro. I'd like to state very clearly that seeing me without clothes on is not an issue. I want to be seen first and foremost as a servant, not a woman.
They fight Gilgamesh twice more, find out who the last master is, defeat them, stuff I'm not going to talk about. Like I said in the beginning, I expected to hate this show. I don't. Not only do I not hate this, I'm shocked as to how this is rated lower than Unlimited Blade Works, because this is a straight up new favorite for me, and I am really putting it up there. Emiya goes through a pretty good arc from non-violent soft lad living for other people to at least being willing to fight. Saber softens up, although again, not subtle at all, happens all at once. Rin stuck to that tsundere shit right through the end. Ilya, let's not, alright? Nothing's perfect. Sakura, though, I feel like there's so much more that should be going on with her that I almost understand why people care so much about the Heaven's Feel movies actually coming out. And when I started the script for this, I found out that Heaven's Feel 3 had just come out literally the day before I started writing. That's convenient, but I didn't know. And since I started, I've also seen Deen's Unlimited Blade Works movie that was so hilariously rushed, I'm not even going to bother touching that until we're at Ufotable series that's the same length as this one. I've also seen a couple episodes of that series, so I know it's better than Gyo at least, and how is that even that? We already did this. Anyway, I loved everything about this. I was shocked it was made by Studio Deen, and I don't understand why people complain about the animation. That could be because of my low standards for anything they make, and
そして時折見せるこの目気持ち悪いなんだか観察されてるみたい
can you really blame me? But also because most anime I've seen from the mid-2000s actually look kind of terrible. Like next to Death Note or early Naruto Shippuden, I'll take this any day.